It's a shame we can't afford a long line of cocaine from here to Bedford, because he'd soon be back. But here we are again, sort of babysitting the fascists. But be fair, Tommy's had a bit of a difficult time lately. Because he was in court yesterday, again, for the, 55,000th time recently. But he said in court that he didn't turn up last time because, now this is very serious, he's got mental health problems. He's got mental health problems because he's been harassed. It's because his voice does go like that, doesn't it? I've been harassed! I've been harassed! My life's in danger! I've been harassed! Mental health problems are very serious. They're not to be laughed at, but they're also not to be used because you don't fancy turning up in court because you've libelled and defamed a child who had to escape a war zone, and you've made their life hell and been done for defamation by my friend Tasmin Unkaji, a wonderful lawyer. And you've had to pay, and you don't fancy paying, so you bunk off court. That's not a reason to use mental health problems as an excuse, is it? But he also said he was at Julian Assange's wedding, and that's why he couldn't go to the last court case. It wasn't on that day, but they're fascists, not factists. They don't do facts, do they? How would you know if Tommy, sadly, was a bit mentally befuddled? How would you tell the difference? Can you imagine? You'd be like, well, he doesn't seem to know what his name is, doesn't seem to know where he is, whether he's at Assange's wedding or whether he's at home crying under the duvet, so that's another issue. You wouldn't know from that. And he seems to think he's a leader who's going to lead a race war, and yet he sort of loses every single time. Could be deluded, could just be Tommy Robinson. But he's had another bit of bad luck as well. He's lost his right-hand man. I use the term advisedly. Danny Tomo. Anyone know who Danny Tomo is? Danny Tomo was like his bestest mate in the whole world, and his bodyguard and his security detail. Danny Tomo also is a failed kidnapper. A failed kidnapper. Like, being a kidnapper is quite bad, but doing what Danny did in kidnapping the wrong person, it's a little tiny bit embarrassing. And this poor bloke was going, it's not me, you know who I am, you mugs. It's not me, you've got the wrong bloody person. He's hanging onto the door frame with his fingertips. Danny's trying to get him in the car. It's not working. They realise they've got the wrong person. So if you're a criminal mastermind, what do you do then? You go on Facebook and apologise. Sorry, mate. No, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, we got the wrong person when we tried to kidnap you. Astonishingly, he got done for that. And the judge almost felt sorry for him. You could see the judge was like, oh, God, this poor bloke. He's incredibly stupid, even for the criminals that I see. That's Danny Tomo. But Danny was here in Telford with Tommy, forging relationships, re-exploiting some of the poor women and girls who've been through absolute horrors. We all agree. Being groomed is torture. Being groomed is an absolute nightmare. He's now stood down. He's not working with Tommy anymore. Great tragedy for the movement. I would like to speculate about why, because some of the things I've heard about the way he was really treating some of these exploited women and girls here would lead you to wonder just how much Danny Tomo cared about them. So my glamorous assistants can hold these lists up. If people want to come and have a look at some of these are lists of around 65 far-right convicted paedophiles and rapists, and one murderer who raped and murdered a 15-year-old girl who he'd been grooming. They are never mentioned by Tommy Robinson. Why are they not? If he cares about paedophiles. I do too. I was a victim of child sexual abuse from 4 to 12. I bloody well care, but I care whoever the perpetrators are. I care whoever the victims are. If there were paedophiles in any socialist group I was in, I would bloody well want them out and exposed. Why doesn't he? Why does he never address this? Why does he never address the fact that one of these men, Richard Price, was a really close friend of his in the EDL, and after Richard Price was put on the sex offenders register, Tommy Robinson called him a hero who had been stitched up by the police, and he wanted to get him out of prison. The amount of these men that were in the English Defence League makes you think that was actually an enormous bloody grooming gang, but we'll never hear a word about that from these people. bastards, will we? I want to talk about my friend Caitlin. My friend Caitlin was the survivor of a grooming gang. What she has been through would give you nightmares. It doesn't go away when you've been abused like she was, when you've been tortured and tormented from childhood by multiple men. It doesn't go away. The effects go on through your life. She has massive health problems. She's had to have numerous abortions. She's had 2 children by perpetrators who she loves and adores, but that's been, can you imagine what a struggle that has been? She's been in hospital because she has ongoing health problems from what happened to her, as you would imagine. One of her issues, and this is just to give you an idea of how this stuff wrecks your life, potentially, is that she was drugged by these men. So she had needles put in her arm. She cannot now have her bloods done, even when she needs to. She cannot bear it. Can you blame her? She can't bear to have a needle anywhere near unless she's sedated. But the NHS is busy. She's really ill at the moment. She desperately needs a blood test. They wouldn't sedate her in hospital. She ended up crying in a corner. Not the NHS's fault. They are so understaffed. How do you deal with how badly she's been damaged? She can't even have her bloods done when she needs to for her health because of these bastards. When she managed to get free of the grooming gang, she was approached by some very nice young men who wanted to help her, who offered her support, who offered her financial help, because what she wanted was counselling. You all know how expensive counselling is and how hard it is to get on the NHS. You might get, if you're lucky, 6 sessions. What is that going to do when you've spent years of your life being raped by multiple men every day? What is that going to do? She was desperate to get some counselling, sort herself out, you know, for her kids, for herself. She's a wonderful mother, but she wanted to deal with this damage. And they said, we'll help you. And she said, I've been told that you're connected to racists though, and I don't want anything to do with that. And they said, no, not at all. Come to our meetings. We just genuinely care about you. You can understand. That would have worked for me. I would have thought, thank God, at last someone gives a damn about me. Because even after you've got away from these gangs, it's not like you would imagine. You're not sort of welcomed by this wonderful support team. You don't have counselling left and right. You just have to get on with your life if you're a working class girl, which she is. You just have to get on with trying to work and trying to support your kids and dealing with all these health problems. And then she went to a meeting or 2, and that's when the mask dropped, was when they thought they got her. And that's when the Islamophobia, and that's when the racism came out, and that's when she had to try to get away from them. So she's then in a situation where she lives, some of these perpetrators are still around because the case fell through. We will never say that councils and police forces and the establishment have not failed these girls. Of course they have. Of course they have, and we oppose that because we genuinely care about them. And if they've done that because they were scared of being accused of racist, that is ridiculous, ludicrous, a failure of their responsibility and no excuse whatsoever. But yes, people were 100% failed. So she has to live seeing these perpetrators, and now she's got the far right on her case trying to exploit her. Imagine what life is like for her. So she wanted me to read out some of her words. I was groomed, trafficked and exploited from my early teens, right through my 20s and beyond. Yes, the perpetrators were Pakistani men, but they were also British, Australian, Italian men. There were also female perpetrators. Some people want you to believe it's culture or skin colour that causes abuse. It is not. Even I went through a period of believing that was the case because of some of the things that were said to me by some of the abusers. This was exaggerated by people I met later in life. When I was in a highly vulnerable state, I almost fell into the grips of the far right. My story was used by them to push a hateful agenda, hyper-focused on the Asian perpetrators. Yes, at one point I was abused by a majority of Pakistani men, but the thing you have to remember is this was a group at one period of time, guys who worked together and knew each other well. But if you look at my perpetrators alone, overall, it's a balanced mix of men from all over. When I was trafficked to Australia, 99% of my abusers were white men. Yes, the Asians did call me a white bitch and a white slut. But guess what? The other guys did too, even the white ones. And I can tell you that the white men were as brutal as some of the Asians. It's got nothing to do with skin colour. It should be about my trauma. It's hugely damaging with lifelong effects. Why not acknowledge all the damage? Why not listen to the victims' stories? Why not validate all of it? What we have here is a middle-aged white man, Tommy Robinson, who has absolutely no first-hand experience at the inside of these trafficking gangs. We saw it firsthand. And no, knowing someone who's been through it, because Robinson will use victims for his agenda and drag them onto the stage with him, is not first-hand experience. Going through it is first-hand experience. It sickens me, she says, to see these groups raising funds to, quote, make a difference to victims of trafficking and CSE. Actually, they do, and she apologises for her language here, fuck all, to help victims. It's all ego-driven, financially driven nonsense. They're causing more damage than good. They do no good. And they actually, this is really important, they actually re-traumatise victims with what they do. They're happy to cherry-pick part of my own story when it suits their agenda. But when I was in their grips, when I corrected them on bits of the story they'd misquoted, when I pointed out they were leaving out any perpetrator who wasn't white, what do you think they did? Do you think they care about victims, so obviously they were nice to her about that, right? They were supportive to her about that. No, they became abusive and angry. They attacked me relentlessly. They called me a race traitor and a liar. They said my children should be killed. They said my children should be thrown into the English Channel because they have bad genes, because they're the children of perpetrators. They told me, this is what they said to Caitlin, that I should kill myself. That's how much they care about victims. The list goes on. No one opposes anyone who genuinely wants to help victims. Of course they don't. We oppose the further exploitation of victims. But these looking to draw worried parents into their trap and make a quick buck of someone else's pain are disgraceful. I can honestly tell you that the actions of these far-right bullies, she's talking about seeing Robinson using her story, using people's stories. She has to see this in the newspaper. She has to hear this on the radio. I can honestly say this has led me to feel exactly the same darkness I felt when I was trafficked. It's affected her mental health. And I guarantee you I'm not the only victim of trafficking that's felt this way. They're re-abusing, they're re-grooming and emotionally abusing these women. It's absolutely vile and it needs to stop. She thanks you for being here today, and I would like to ask you to give the biggest round of applause you can to Caitlin. Go Caitlin! She's a legend. Thank you.
Always thank you so much for that, Louise. It is really important that we're here today and we send a clear message to Tommy Robinson that actually he's not welcome in this town. And I'm really proud to say that I'm from Manchester, I'm from the Northwest, and we kicked him into the gutter when he thought he was going to represent the Northwest for the MEP-ship. So I want to say, wherever he goes, we come out and we oppose him. It's really important we do that because we never allow him to have space to grow, to spread his filth and to spread his hate and to spread his fear. Because that's what he is about. And our movement is about unity, about black and white people standing together. So I am really proud to be here today with everybody else.
It's about him saying that only certain abuse is all right. If it's done by someone who's white, it's all right. So that's what Tommy Robinson stands for. So he doesn't stand in solidarity with the victims, he doesn't stand in solidarity with the girls. He's not outraged about what happened to them, not a bit. He's coming to Telford because he thinks it's an area he can grow. He thinks it's an area where fascists can grow and divide communities. And so we're standing here today. We're from Telford. We're not from Telford, but we're coming out to say we're not for division. We're not for division. We're absolutely for justice for the victims, but we are not for fascist division because that's all they want to do. They want to cause hatred amongst communities. And so we need to stand up against it. We need to stand up against them because actually there are lots of people who are at fault over this. Lots of people who are at fault with this. The perpetrators, absolutely at fault. The police, the council, social services, schools, all of these people didn't do their job. They should have done their job. They should have protected individuals, and they didn't protect individuals. And as I said before, one of the reasons they didn't do that is because they saw the victims as being troublemakers, victims of being people, you know, who might have been in care, who take up too much time, who do bad things. Their problem, they're the problem. And we're saying that's absolutely the wrong way to do it. The problem were the perpetrators, absolutely. The problem was the system that allowed these children to become victims. That was the problem. But the answer is not Tommy Robinson, because as I said, he does not care. He doesn't care about the people of Telford. For the people of of Telford, Tommy Robinson just sees you as a notch on his bedpost. That's all you are to him. You're nothing to him. He doesn't care about you. But if he can inflame, if he can get people fighting against each other, if he can get people attacking Muslims, then Tommy Robinson's there. Tommy Robinson likes that. And so we are saying absolutely none of it. We are not in favour of our communities being divided, not in favour of Tommy Robinson using Telford or any other town as a place to spread his filth. We are not in favour of the fascists. So we're coming out here to protest today. And if you're in Telford and you're wondering why people keep coming to your town, we're here because they're here. We're here because the fascists are here. But what we're saying to people in Telford is you can make certain the fascists don't turn up by turning out on these protests. You can make certain that the fascists don't turn up by showing opposition to them every single day of the week, by saying that Telford is a fascist-free zone, a Tommy Robinson-free zone. It isn't an area for growth. It's an area where people in Telford are going to put Tommy Robinson into the bin, because that is where he belongs. And in fighting for that unity, and us standing together fighting for this unity, then actually we're the ones that can make certain there is a better world that doesn't have perpetrators, doesn't have victims, and certainly doesn't have bloody fascists in it.
The brave women that have taken part in the making of these documentaries, they have shown courage that I have not seen from most of the men of England. The daughters of England have stood up, and we need to salute them. And you'll see today, as these two films unfold today, you will see courage like you have never seen before. But I want to say something to these young women who have taken a stand for what is right, because I tell you something, what this is about today is about the difference between right and wrong. It's not about left or right, it's about right or wrong. And you are right, you are right, you are right. What we'll find today as we stand today, how many people here stand with the daughters of England? Yeah. Let's have a cheer for the daughters of England. Because the days of people turning the other way and ignoring this monstrous rape jihad that has gone in this country are over. It's finished. We're shining a light on the rapists. We're going to light them up and down this country. But today is about the young ladies, and they are ladies. I've met them all. They are powerful, powerful, strong women that have taken part in these documentaries. Today is about them, and today they will be vindicated. For many years, they were ignored by the state. They're ignored by the police, and I'm not talking about the bobbies on the beat here. Nothing against them. I'm talking about the people in the high command of police services up and down England and Scotland and Wales that ignored the rape jihad and let it happen.
Do you know what? We'll start off. I don't really think I need to do much talking, if I'm honest. You're going to watch the videos. There's more than one video documentary you're going to watch today. We're going to be here a little while. They have tried everything to silence us, to stop us, from deleting us from social media, erasing us, slandering us. 2 weeks before this documentary was ready, MailChimp, who we have used their services for years, many of you will know. How many of you used to receive emails from me? Majority of the crowd. We used to send between 200 and 300 people emails who are our supporters, our registered supporters. They deleted that. So before this demonstration, they haven't even allowed us to let people know it's going on. Which is why I want to say a thank you to these guys together. Because if they had their way, we wouldn't have a voice. And if we didn't have a voice, we wouldn't be able to give these ladies a platform to tell their stories. They don't want their stories told. We'll understand as we work our way through this series why they don't want their stories told. In the film today, we're going to examine why this is happening. You see this place here as well? That's the council's offices. We are going to reserve an entire episode for the scumbags in that place as well. I'm going to start with a film, because this is a film that a lot of work's gone into. The lady has showed amazing bravery. If you're one of the people who has supported Urban Scoop, she's had close protection officers up until the process of the start of this, and she's currently relocated with her children on holiday, thanks to you people. Just let's play. I want you to understand how many different women, children, families I've approached over the last 18 months. Some of them I've had good reception, some of them I've had bad reception, and I've had many different experiences. What I've done is filmed everything. We have hundreds of hours of footage. We've literally got through to nearly making documentaries and had some of the ladies totally pull the plug through fear. I've left it with every person I meet. Here's my number. This is your choice until the end. At any time you can change your mind. At any time the door's open to talk. I approached one lady, a brave lady who's here with us today. I have rushed to get what you're going to watch now to show you today. It's not ready to go out yet. It'll be ready in a couple of weeks, and I've rushed it because, as I've said many times, I'm not the right person for these girls to be contacting. I'm not trained in it. I haven't experienced it. I can't sit there and pretend to understand what these women have gone through. This lady can. We'll get onto it. But if I'm honest, the first time I approached this female, this Sarah, I was told to fuck off. But now I'll let the little film do the talking of what's happened. I hear a lot of people say to me about bravery. The bravery you're seeing from the women, the bravery from Nicole in episode 1, the bravery from our other survivor. That's true bravery. They're standing here telling their stories. By telling their stories, I'm sitting there looking at your boy. I'm looking at your lads. Thinking of the knock-on effect that this has on every member of the family. But what I want to ask you, I see so many women here who are affected by watching that. Where are the feminists? Where are you? We hear so much, everyone's out on the street about me too, me too. Someone looked at a woman wrong. Someone made a comment or touched her leg. These children have been raped and tortured and butchered and murdered. And where are the representatives of the feminists? Shall I tell you where the probably third wave representatives of feminists were today? They were stood over there screaming at us whilst we were showing people and giving a voice to these survivors. And as I said, that is not going out yet, Sarah, because I want to send you to meet that organisation. I want to film how you get on, and I want to make sure your website is up. I want to make sure that your organisation is ready before we go totally live on the internet with our film, because I think how many people here would want to back this lady and help her? There are, in many towns and cities in this country, what the council do is the council get a survivor and they throw masses of money at them, and that survivor then is the voice of these survivors, but they can't go against the narrative because they're being funded by the same council that has allowed it to happen, the same council that still blocks the car parks, the same council that still prevents us using the city centre, the same council that still don't want the public hearing these stories. Do you know how many stories like Sarah's there are in just this town, in just this small town with such a small Islamic community? We are already halfway through episode 3. I'll go about where we're going now. It's a heartbreaker again. We're going to look at the murder of Becky Watson, who was a 13-year-old child. We're going to tell the story of the man who murdered her and served 15 months in prison, and once he was released from jail he continued his rape against children, because still to this date that man has never been prosecuted for rape, abuse of children or anything even to do with Becky Watson. But that's the next episode. But I want to say you've all stood here for a long time. In fact, now there's one more thing I need to do as well. We have a survivor who unfortunately we've had to relocate again. That's our survivor from episode 2. Can we just have a round of applause for her so I can send it to her? This is for you, darling. I guarantee you I guarantee you that somewhere a lady will watch your story and it will give her the courage to speak out, seek treatment, or grow in herself over what's happened in her life. So thank you. There's a song that, in fact, all of you, because we met in it, and whilst we're on it, do you know what? I spoke to other girls. I've seen other films, so just Sarah's standing here still. I see another film. I contacted another girl. I see things online about this girl being raped, naming the same men. I contacted her, and I found out then, because she'd been relocated out of this town, and I found out it was Sarah that had relocated her. So I've met lots of women along the way who Sarah has been helping behind the scenes. I know that one of the survivors said that she would have never have got to this day if it wasn't for the help that Sarah would give her. So. No, there's a song, and when you listen to the lyrics in this song. Because as I sat with the lady from episode 2, in fact a couple of them, she said that the lyrics in this song perfectly describe her life. When you listen to the lyrics, you feel the pain so bad when you listen to where she's at. So we're just going to play you that song, because I think it's important. All of us are proud of our mums, aren't we? If you ask any man who the most important woman in the world is, they'll say their mum. Jamie, you should be proud of your mum, mate. You should be proud of your mum. So where do we go from there, and where does this take us? As I said, we're going to attempt to make a new relationship with West Mercia Police. We're not leaving Telford, yeah? They've cancelled our ability to email people. We'll have that back in the next couple of weeks. We'll be back here. We'll continue spreading the word. We'll continue giving a platform. Hopefully an organisation will build through Sarah that's totally separate from me. I know it's nothing to do with us, but hopefully I'll be there to help women. I want every one of you to go away. When I give the date, it's going to be sooner than how long this took. We've rushed that last couple of things to get them out for today, because I knew people were travelling. The next one should hopefully be within 6 to 8 weeks tops. And if you've come, if you're a lady especially, tell your friends, bring your friends, yeah? Until there's 10,000 women here, this lot ain't going to listen. Until there's 10,000 women here, that council ain't going to listen. And again, if you're watching this and you don't like me, yeah? It's not about me, okay? Unfortunately, we do not have any journalists brave enough to take these bastards on, yeah? That's the reality of it, and none of them will dare ask the questions that need to be asked, go where we need to go, and also give these girls an opportunity to tell their story so that they feel they have a voice. And if you're a journalist and you don't think it should be me giving them a voice, then get off your arse and do the job that you should have been doing for the last 30 years. So as many people as possible, I'd love to see some of my detractors who don't like me joining these crowds for our future films. I want to thank everyone for your behaviour every time. I know what our audience is like every single time. You've all come, you've travelled far, you've spent your money. We appreciate it. And if you've looked into this, let me ask one more thing. How many people here have, can I see your hand if you've already downloaded Getter? Have you got Getter? Okay, because what we can do, we've been trending all day on Getter, okay? We've been trending all day on Getter. We need to understand our power and our strength. We need to, and I will, when I say I'm determined on things, I'm determined on it. Once we've got a 4 or 5 part series, I'm going to travel the UK. I will come to Birmingham, I will come to Leeds, I will come to Liverpool, I will come to Sunderland, Newcastle, Bristol, every city. And I'm going to bring, because they think they can isolate these films, I'm going to bring this, I'm going to actually bring the bus. Remember the bus? The bus is still there, yeah? But it needs some repair. But we're going to bring the bus, we're going to have a road show, we're going to make sure every town and city talks about these stories, hears from these girls, and with Getter, we will mainstream it in the UK. This will become a large platform in England. It's already the fastest growing social media. The reason why that's so important is because if we can make things trend like we have today, then we can dictate the news. So if we want the news to be about our survivors, if we want the news to be about the children being raped, or we want the news to examine and look at the reasons why it's happening, if we want the news to examine corruption within police forces or councils, we will have the ability through that social media to do that. It's imperative that you spread the word of Getter. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I'm going to pass you on to Richard. I need to go. My son's got a go-karting party in London. I need to get back.
Well, thank you very much, Tommy. What a day!